This video is sponsored by Squarespace, the Antoine Dupont of website builders.
The Afrikaans language is a fascinating thing. Despite being born from Dutch, a German influx in the 1600s saw a significant amount of Bavarian words adopted alongside those from more traditional African dialects, giving the language its own unique flavour. And yet, as someone on the outside whose sole word of Afrikaans is kak, watching South African rugby some 400 years later after the language started to codify, there's just one German word I truly wonder and care about making the Afrikaner cut. Wunderkind. Ever since bursting through as the star of the World Cup conquering South Africa under-20s in 2022, Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu has looked to have the world at his feet, no doubt before deftly flicking it up into his hands. It's now 3.5 years since Feinberg-Mngomezulu first pulled on a Springboks shirt against Bristol, and in that time the conversation around him has steadily shifted from hype to hyperbole. The legions of us who thought this kid could be pretty good, now passing through, oh holy shit, this kid is so much better than we thought he'd be, into, wait, no, but if that's the case, then how good could he become? So, with the Springboks' first game of the year now just weeks away, it feels like a prime moment to dig in. Is Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu the real deal? How good can he become? And just how close to that outrageously high ceiling is he right now? I find you can only really tell a player's true potential somewhere around the age of 23 or 24. At age 20, Antoine Dupont looked like a solid scrum half, but fast forward 3 years and he was a guy who could single-handedly win you any game. Ardie Savea went from Julian's brother to, wait, he has a brother, and in the same way, Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu has gone from, is he the next Damian Willemse at age 20 to, is he the next Dan Carter at age 23? This isn't to compare SFM to rugby's widest man crush, not just yet anyway, but the facts of the matter are, over the last year, Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu has begun a steady metamorphosis into a player way beyond even the brilliance he looked able to produce when the world first took notice at under-20s level. A rare player who represented the Boks at every single age grade. Over the last 12, 18 months or so, Sacha has built his game out beyond his absurd skill set to be a pretty complete player. This, his hat-trick try against Connacht from a few weeks back, is perhaps the best encapsulation of what he brings to the table to date. The Stormers run a lovely move here and it allows De Villiers to smash right up into the Connacht half. The ball is initially messy but still really fast, and the Stormers find shape immediately. It's a basic pair of two pos with Sinatla filling in as a forward with so many on the floor. However, the crazy bit is what actually happens next. In the space of a second and a half, Feinberg-Mngomezulu looks up, scans this defence and calls for scrum half Ungera to skip the first pod and hit Salman Morat here. This pass takes the first 3 defenders out of the game and isolates the prop Bielam here, who flies in on Morat with Oliver coming in to assist. The lock tips onto his colleague, Oliver then left in no man's land and Sacha sets off immediately. He starts moving into the space as Morat passes, and by the time Boyle here has initiated contact, Sacha has already hit full pace. Jack Carty, his opposite numbers, knows the Stormers have numbers wide and knows Sacha's calling for the ball here, so he shoots in fast, but he doesn't know the exact call that Sacha's making. Feinberg-Mngomezulu has literally 3 seconds, tops, to process all of this information, much of it in mere body language from attack and defence, and make the call. 10 is charging hard on the outside, trying to blitz out, so if he can isolate this prop here, each of the next 2 defenders in front of him will bounce in one and it'll open a gap between that 10 heading straight up and the flanker now coming in. And sure enough, that gap does come and he accelerates through it, and with a blindside wing having made the previous tackle on De Villiers, there's only one guy left in the backfield, so he goes for the chip and chase. An increasingly trademark moment. Except this one is special, for he doesn't just drop this on the toe, he drops it on the wrong toe. Feinberg-Mngomezulu is generally right-footed, yet he hits this on his left. He actually has to adjust his run more to do this than if he dropped it onto his normal foot, yet it's a mini beat of genius. He's thinking entirely about the bounce. The gap he's just opened up makes for a pretty clean divide between the forwards and the backs. If the ball bounces on this side, he's against Connacht's fastest players, it could go anywhere really, so the chances of him losing a race or someone getting back are even greater. So, to control the bounce and guarantee it landing over here where he's against only forwards, he hits it off his left foot. It's an utterly insane portrait of a complete attacking player. The vision, the anticipation, the pace, the rugby IQ, the skill set. Sacha's first try that day puts two of these together. He's one step probably out of position here and ends up juggling the pass as a result, and it causes the Connacht defence to smell blood and shoot in. Ford has come in to make the big shot on Sacha, so he sends Haaland on a suicide ball, frankly. It's kind of like the world's smallest hospital pass, knowing that if Haaland carries the ball on this outside line, he'll probably be smashed behind the gain line, but likely take both centres out in the process. Feinberg-Mngomezulu just fights to stay alive, ignoring Carty's grapple, and wraps around. Knowing those centres are now out the game, there's so much room between 13 and wing anyway, but Dan du Plessis here bowls him over for good measure, and it gives him a lovely run onto the ball. Once again, he's up to full speed in a step or so, with the one-handed offload an option if he needs be. It kind of captures where he's at. Occasionally, he's slightly out of position, but his skill set is so high, he can often make the most of it and turn it into a try rather than just another gain line carry, because those offloads are such a core part of Feinberg-Mngomezulu's game. This against the Wallabies on his first test start last year is a brilliant example. To watch it once in real time is just an impressive offload, but slow it down, there's so much more. Knowing he's being hunted hard, he looks up at Lolaseo, almost makes eye contact, then looks at the space outside him, and instead of flinging it right away, he waits until his opposite number comes in to free the hand and flick it out until the space has opened itself up, because Lolaseo is now out the game. It goes pinpoint to Colby, who can step and unleash the space. Peter Steptoe almost away down the wing, almost creating a try-scoring chance. This isn't just a kid throwing impressive offloads because he can. He's weighing up the changing complexion of the game at opposition defence every time he does it. This against the Scarlets is even more absurd. He identifies where the space is, and knowing that if they're to exploit it, he needs to get the ball there quickly, flings it out the back. And it isn't even just a show-off manoeuvre. It's purely practical, as the extra second and a half it would take to put the ball into hands and throw it more traditionally would allow these defenders to take shape, knowing the ball's now going wide. Instead, the Scarlets are scrambling, and an outrageous dummy by Warwick Haaland opens things up. The Stormers charge downfield, find support, and recycle to a few moments later, score a try thanks to another ridiculous Ardi Surveyor dummy from Warwick Haaland. Sacha is just heading into his second season of Test Rugby, and with these passes becoming more and more common, we're going to see teams start to adapt defences to him. The reality is, like Antoine Dupont, his unbelievable raw skill set basically leaves every option on the table at any given moment. Even ones you'd think would be impossible based on logic, human biology, and having watched rugby before. When the ball carrier has it tucked under one arm, the Scarlets here know they shouldn't be worrying about it ending up over here. Yet against Feinberg-Mngomezulu, like Antoine Dupont, they do have to. These passes don't always come off, but his hit rate with them is so much higher than the common rugby logic suggests they should be. But this is, at best, half of his overall skill set. The raw pace is such a point of difference. He's so fast. This quick tap is brilliant and opens up that space purely because he's looking at all times for chances to use that pace with his acceleration alongside. His standard passing, rather than just offloading, is exceptional, as is his ability to build a beautiful website with Squarespace. The world's easiest to use website builder, Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu first discovered Squarespace when he came into the Springboks camp last year, and for seeing all these internationals, all these Springboks using Squarespace all the time, he thought, boy, if I am to become truly an international rugby player, I must go away and learn to make a beautiful website. At first he thought he'd have to use HTML, and then he discovered, no way on earth I can do it in mere moments, mere seconds, just by using Squarespace's easy integrated features. And if you want to do the same and build your own beautiful website in, let's say, an hour, you can head to the link in the description and use the offer code SQUIDRUGBY to save yourself some money on a beautiful website. Yet even above his website building comes his kicking game. These small chips and grubbers are his bread and butter, but the really fascinating part is his tactical kicking, which feels different to near enough any other 10 in the world. The same way George Ford pioneered the spiral bomb, a technique that makes high balls swirl and hence very tricky to catch, Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu feels very much at the forefront of a new kind of tactical kick. For as well as being an outstanding rugby player, Feinberg-Mngomezulu played to first-class youth standard in both association football, soccer, football, kick. Oh god, it's gone in the goal, ball, whatever you want to call it, and cricket. And I think you can see both of these come through in his technique. He even actually starts in football fashion here against the Wallabies, trapping the ball with his foot and looping onto it, getting into a better position. Now, he's probably looking to hit this a bit deeper than he does, but the idea is clear. It's sort of pseudo grubber, sent at 1,000,000 miles an hour right towards the touchline. Even if an Aussie gets across in time, the kick is deliberately so difficult to field they'll likely fumble it. It's quickly becoming a trademark. He hits the ball so much lower on the ball drop than many other 10s. It's much closer to football technique, trying to hit it at that point of the bounce. Yet his vision, in terms of when and how he kicks, feels like more that of a cricketer, looking for the boundary and trying to put balls into places where they bounce wickedly away from fielders. This one against Connacht is a brilliant example. He's initially looking to the other side of the pitch, but scans, adjusts, and hits it so that it bounces ultra awkwardly. Carty can get to the ball, but he has to take it backtracking and is left completely isolated. If he doesn't kick this, it's going to be a turnover. There's so many more Stormers players around him than Connacht players, and yet the Stormers fielders are pretty well spread. He plays the only shot he possibly can, the situation any bowler wants to be putting a batsman, hoping Haaland here can't turn and cover the ground in time. But with the space now opening up, watch Sacha. He tracks his run and heads infield immediately because he knows if a break is coming, that's where it will be. It will be in this middle zone. So Nartler makes the swerve and goes through, and he's instantly in position to take the pass, and a lovely flick gets the Stormers into the 22. Connacht do a brilliant job slowing this down, but his anticipation again is astonishing. The Galway gang's line is pretty well set. This is a good defensive line, so he doesn't want them to know what he's doing early, hiding himself on the far side around here, making the call to Ongara to hit the outside man as he wraps around himself. Willemse's movement here is also lovely, forming a kind of second boot, allowing Sacha the time to hit the line fully, whirring through the defence, and then, well, what can you even say about this? It's just incredible. This full try captures so much of him. A smart kick, a great support line, some incredible reads, and then 2 consecutive out-the-back passes, creating a stunning try. It might have been scored by Hatzenberg, but it belongs to Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu, or beginning with that kick. Even when it's fielded, it just leaves Carty with so few options, and that's what Sacha's so often looking to do with his kicking game. Or here, playing for the 20s, he smashes what looks to be a tactical kick until the bounce where it suddenly turns into a try. He's so evidently someone who's just spent a lifetime working on these kicks, working on learning how to make a ball bounce just right, as both of these kicks for Arendse show. This one's brilliant in the fact that it doesn't bounce, instead stopping right in front of him, meaning he'll always win the race and can tow it on to very almost score. This seems to be at the heart of his game management style. It's on the quality of the kick instead of the decision to kick. With the game and the balance against the All Blacks here, instead of trying to wind down the clock and put it in touch, or keeping hold of the ball, knowing this is prime position for Surveyor or Kane to pounce and pilfer, he hangs a massive spiral bomb into the corner. Talea is always going to get there first. It isn't contestable at all. Colby doesn't stand a realistic chance of getting there, but he has to take it going backwards and hence can't assess his options until after he's caught the ball. Pinned into the most difficult position to counterattack from. He can't go outside because you're running to touch. He can only really go inside, but the Springboks are covering that space quickly. The clock is against him. 1 minute to play, so there's no point in calling the mark, yet Colby is in his face right away. The All Blacks have had to retreat themselves to get in position. There's no real players back. There's no attack on. Steinkamp making a great tackle, and moments later, as the All Blacks are forced to overplay to get out of this, to try and create that match-winning try, Sacha himself regathers the chip that allows them to just wind down the clock and stay out the final 30 seconds to boot the ball out and win the game. He's an incredibly smart rugby player who manages to have a feel for both the moment and the match. Yet instead of focusing on just that, he always keeps attention on what he can do himself. I'd argue this is the core of Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu. If we pooled every back in world rugby, Antoine Dupont and Beauden Barrett are the only players I'd say for certain have a stronger all-round skill set than him, with Finn Russell, Roman Antomat, maybe a handful of others on his level. There's a legitimate argument in terms of raw talent, I believe, that SFM could yet prove to be the most able, most capable back South Africa has ever produced. As such, right, when there are only 3 or 4 guys on your level internationally, and most of them are off toiling in the professional leagues on the other side of the world, you probably develop the exact same instincts Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu has. In almost literally every single situation, he leans on his skill set. Whether it's to kickstart something, get him out of trouble, or drive home an advantage, his first instinct is not to think, but to try the flashiest shit you have ever seen. This makes him unbelievable to watch. The Stormers here are running up a blind alley. This is not great attack. attack with the scarts covering the ground, yet when most 10s crash it up or thump it long or just invite a 12 to get them out of trouble, Sacha does this. And then, when that comes off, he follows it up with this. It's so almost one of the all-time great bits of skill, and it comes out of the defense reading and covering the Stormers move he's called initially. The ability to pull this kind of thing out of his arse at any moment makes him totally unflappable, in a way usually only reserved for the true greats, Carter, Dupont, Edwards, or the true mavericks, Cipriani, Spencer, Boxis. Actually, Boxis should be on both lists, but that's for another time. Yet Sacha is almost superhumanly calm because he trusts he can pull any rabbit out of any hat. Now, this does have a habit of backfiring him and causing mistakes. It'll sometimes throw offloads that aren't on because he knows his superhuman paws can do it rather than should do it, whilst his ability to step and break the line leads him to occasionally taking pace and fluency out of an attack as he looks to run up a blind alley in order to try and do so when it isn't quite on. The team has a set shape and structure, but because he thinks he sees something, sometimes he'll go for it, and often those gaps close off because he's facing the best of the best in the world, and it can require everyone 2 or 3 phases to break them down, and then a further 2 or 3 phases once he tried it to reset and find shape after he broke it. This isn't overly common, maybe once or twice a game, and it's worth it for the times in which he does break the line, but it's just a point worth raising if we're going to paint a complete picture of the lad as he is now. And unlike Antoine Dupont, who has the same habit, he lacks the raw strength to bounce out of these tackles or just still make something of it, even if it's just a 1 meter gain line success carry. With Sacha, it's often just a loss of time and energy for the team. It's a nitpick, but it's a valid one still. Yet the one real area Feinberg-Mngomezulu needs to develop for me is not the odd mad idea that doesn't come off, but perhaps sometimes to just take the easy option instead of the one that requires a ridiculous bit of skill only he could do. His instinct is always to back his skill set, and yet sometimes you find yourself in situations where the greatest kick you've ever seen isn't required. This is a perfect example. 3 points down and 10 minutes to play. He looks contestable from the exit and hangs a great kick. Barrett has to travel miles to reach it and allows the box to regather. Farsi then pumps it long. It's a brilliant kick, which leaves the All Blacks with very few options. Colby is chasing. Nokie's follow is phenomenal and puts huge pressure on the kick. The ball goes into touch 38 metres from the All Blacks goal line. Right? 38 metres. Decent distance. But Sacha thinks he can do better. So he calls for the quick throw and attempts the 50-22. It's a really solid strike, but Mackenzie covers it and replies, allowing Sacha to recover and try a bomb instead. However, New Zealand managed to catch this and now have the ball almost exactly where the Box would have had it if they hadn't gambled on the quick throw. Yep, Mackenzie then in turn kicks long, and Feinberg-Mngomezulu is perfectly in position. He's really good in backfield, by the way, that's another thing to add, and he has another crack. This is a pretty brilliant kick. It's pretty incredible. It's so almost a 50-22, and yet it isn't. And whilst it still leaves Bodie in a really tricky position, he's still Bowden bloody Barrett. So he does really bloody well from that position and puts the ball into touch 41 metres from the All Black goal line. Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu has put in 2 excellent kicks and 1 pretty good one, and yet all he's done is lose 3 metres and 2 minutes off the clock. Now, if he isn't playing against Bowden Barrett, there's a good chance he makes a much better net gain, but sometimes you've got to look at the opposition and remember you are playing against Bowden Barrett and Damian McKenzie and weigh up these decisions and go, are we better off just taking the 38 metres rather than gambling? Now, the Box do go on and win it from that position. The 41 metres are enough, but the point is this kid is still so used to betting on himself, not in a Rob Howley way, that he goes for it every single time. The next stage in his development is working out when his brand of bullshit is on and when to make the sensible decision without compromising the magic at all. It's also worth saying that the things he's been doing at club level this year may not necessarily translate to international level. Last season, he looked unplayable at times against Wales and Portugal, but then got charged down twice the first time he faced the All Blacks. He was forced to reckon with the increased pace and the fact that he has a second less to perform any and every action at international level when you're playing the truly exceptional teams. And yet, he still overcame that and literally 1 week later was putting in an exceptional, brilliant performance to mastermind a win over the old enemy. And whilst the disclaimer there feels necessary when judging his club performances, I have very little doubt that he'll kick on and deliver, that he'll pull up trees to make himself as world-class on the world stage as he is on the smaller one he's currently more used to, because that work, dedication, and that raw want to do it for South Africa is in his blood. While Sacha himself might only just be old enough to drive a bus, his story starts somewhere decades earlier, with his grandfather, Barry Feinberg. A poet, artist, and proud Jewish man, Feinberg would become one of the key figures in the anti-apartheid movement. His programming, protests, and poems reached millions, working day and night to overturn the fascism writ large across the nation. On the 21st of March, 1960, Feinberg was one of the personnel behind one such protest in Sharpeville, Transvaal. At 10 a.m., all at once, some 5,000 protesters turned up outside the local police station and all offered themselves up for arrest for the crime of not carrying their passbooks, a legal document required for all non-white folks in South Africa to be out in public at the time. They remained outside the station, peacefully sitting there, offering themselves up for hours, until at 1:30 p.m, without warning, the police opened fire. 91 people, including 10 children, were killed. A further 238 were injured. The South African government used this massacre as an excuse to blacklist, ban the African National Congress, of which Feinberg was a notable member. Association with the party now a criminal offence. Feinberg, in response, fled to London, where he helped manage overseas campaigning and fundraising, producing a series of documentaries and organising countless events to drum up both interest and money, whilst also working full-time as a teacher to support his family. When the ANC were unbanned in 1990, allowing the Feinberg family to return to Cape Town, Paulo Jordan, a member of Mandela's cabinet, described Feinberg's contribution to the unbanning as consistently indispensable. He would continue campaigning for true socio-economic equality for all folk in South Africa his entire life. Feinberg passed away in late 2023, having lived long enough to see his grandson pull on the green and gold jersey for the first time and live the change that Feinberg himself had helped to spark. Barry Feinberg lives on in more than just Sacha's surname, for perhaps the key ingredient in his success so far has not been his skill set, but his total commitment and belief in the power of hard work passed on from his grandfather. Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu's skill set is elite, but it's his work rate, his effort levels, that truly set him apart. His coach at the Stormers, John Dobson, was once asked when he knew this kid was going to be special, and he didn't identify a moment of great skill or pace, a try or a kick, but rather one game for the Stormers under-19s where he made 21 tackles. In Dobson's own words, there isn't a defensive system in the world that would require a fly half to make 21 tackles. His core, Dobson said, is that he wants to compete and fight. Feinberg-Mngomezulu is a brilliant tackler. His hunger and desire and want to hit is more reminiscent of a Johnny Wilkinson, Owen Farrell, Dan Bigger, conservative, shut it down type 10 than the flair guy he is, yet he goes for it. Because we brought it up with Sam Prendergast, I will say in the name of balance, his clean-outs really need work, his breakdown stuff is not very good. The ruck is the one area of the game I'd label right now as an active weakness, but if that's the case, for a 23-year-old fly half, you're probably doing okay. For me, the emergence of Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu this last year reminds me of Aaron Smith's arrival in 2012. The All Blacks at the time were already the best team in the world, with scrum half Perry Whippu outstanding and key in guiding them to a World Cup. Yet then, the year after, in comes this young kid, somebody with talent, ability, and a point of difference, and he transformed the team. A side who was already the best became even better, finding one world-class talent who could add dimensions to the side. Up their attack, up their pace, up what they can do in a moment and on a turn. The Springboks were already the number one team on earth, but the addition of Feinberg-Mngomezulu threatens to add a subtlety, a pace, and a magic. The Afrikaner language might not have adopted that one specific German word, but I'm pretty sure the language of anyone who watches this kid play will pretty soon adopt the word Wunderkind.
Thanks for watching that. I hope you enjoyed it. We are coming into international rugby season. We've got the Lions, we've got the Summer Internationals, you've got the Rugby Championship coming up beyond that. There's so much going on. We have so much going up around the channel and also on the second channel where there's plenty of other bits.
There's Australian things, there's American things, there's depressing Welsh things, there's
so
also
depressing.
there's French things. Like there's so many kinds of things that we're talking about, but they all relate back to one thing that unites them all. Do you know what that is?
I believe we'll get onto that. I do want to quickly thank everyone that's posted on Patreon as well.
Oh, yes.
Makes this so possible and so valuable. Yeah, we've been trying to, put plenty out of late and really allows us to do that. So thank you very much.
But also there's going to be some Patreon exclusive content.
Yes.
And also there's the Patreon exclusive Discord. So if you're on Patreon, please join that and say hello to us.
And also early access, including this video. You may be a Patreon watching this some time before it goes up for the general public. So otherwise, I'll say thank you and I'll answer your previous question. Yes. The answer was very much rugby.
didn't make the main video, but there's another famous member of the Mngomezulu family. Here's his brother, who was on Netflix as Too Hot to Handle. Here he is at the Cannes Film Festival. Here he is on Instagram. Don't know, just fun that he's got a brother, I guess.